Hello and welcome to Icebreakers for the month of September. So the purpose of these short videos, they're based on news stories, recent ones, which I find can be quite useful when trying to illustrate what goes on in the real world. So it tends to be three stories, talk about what's happened, what the learning points are, and hopefully you will find them of some help. So this month I'll be looking at accountancy firms. They are now coming under scrutiny. Cyber threats, but where there's a physical element. This one I will talk about is really underlines the world we're living in right now in terms of threats. And then an example of a student laundering money that is connected to child abuse. Often the sorts of crime that can be overlooked because we tend to focus around the sort of financial aspect where there's a clear harm with this particular one. So accountants and AML. The latest AML reforms, which have been announced last month, August, introduce stricter requirements for the accountancy sector. Now they're the next in line to, I suppose you could say, get the house in order. They are a key element in terms of the chain for financial crime, in terms of the way that criminals will utilise the system. So now they're now expected to strengthen their risk-based approaches. So that will tend to be risk assessments, CDD, and then they've got to prepare themselves for tighter supervision. So their own regulator will be looking quite closely at them and how they are adhering to the regulations. So expect some announcements. I don't think it will be too much of a stretch to say expect some fines. So watch this space. It really is an opportunity for accountants to get the house in order. And the whole thing is about streamlining the framework and increasing accountability. So very much about raising the bar. A reminder that AML increasingly is viewed, it must extend beyond the conventional financial institutions. So it's not just for banks and people involved in that space, it's for anybody involved in financial transactions. And clearly accountants are looking at things like people's books and the money going through accounts and where they're from, etc. So the things like being proactive, documenting, risk management, all that sort of stuff is really, really crucial. So this is an example of a cyber to physical threat. So August in Norway, the Bremanger, I'm hoping I pronounced that properly, was sabotaged. It was carried out by pro-Russian cyber attackers apparently. And what they did, because all these things, or a lot of these things, are now controlled on the internet, they were able to open a floodgate which released 500 litres of water per second for 4 hours before the breach was stopped. So you can imagine the sorts of damage that can do in terms of the water supply and potentially the damage to land beyond the dam, etc. Apparently no casualties, but this is a real world cyber attack, and we've seen this sort of thing before in hospitals where the electricity has been switched off by hackers. And there is a case in Germany where a lady died, and there was obviously a connection to the fact that she couldn't be given adequate medical care because there was no electricity. So in turn the cyber attack caused somebody's death. So it isn't just digital physical assets that are targets, it can be all sorts of things. So cyber and physical are now converging, which magnifies the risk massively. So if you're involved in that sort of space, you've got to ensure that your response has got to cover both the IT systems and the operational technology. So and the effects of that. What's going to happen if an IT system controls something? What are the effects and how are you going to mitigate that particular risk? Now this one, a Chinese student was accused of laundering 300,000 of pounds of proceeds from child sexual abuse websites through a UK bank account. An account her name received that amount of money in cryptocurrency. Thankfully, the National Crime Agency were on top of this, and they were able to go to the banks. They were able to locate the wallets, and through a lengthy investigation were able to sort of identify this particular individual. So it's anybody that's involved in the AML compliance space. Legitimate banking activity can conceal criminal conduct very easily, and there's a connection with international networks as well. So remember, even the most routine of accounts of a student can unmask high-risk criminal activity. It doesn't always come from the most expected of sources, but we often forget about things like child abuse. There is any criminal enterprise will invariably be conducted for financial gain, and it's ongoing monitoring. That's an awful lot of money to be moving through an account, and the source was crypto. So again, it highlights the cryptocurrency element as well. So that's it for this month. Hope you find it useful. Any comments, suggestions, feel free to email me at that particular email address. Thank you for listening.